Dmitry, the CEO of Cool Tool, come on up. Welcome. You've got.
I'm not alone. I'm with my colleague Lana because I'm sorry, I feel myself sick. If I fall down somewhere in the middle of this speech, she will continue. This is what we call as a teamwork. I have a story to tell you, and actually this story started here in Atlanta in 2012 when we introduced our survey platform with the marketplace at SMR Congress. And we added a lot of features to this marketplace. When we integrated affordable but accurate eye tracker, that was a first success. Then we added more neuromarketing technologies and built comprehensive tool called NeuroLab. And we succeed with these tools. We have almost 6 years of experience. We built a wonderful team of 25 employees. We have smart clients in 65 countries around the world. We have 300% annual revenue growth. But now we are ready for the next challenge and for the next step. And this step is serving almost 400 million businesses instead of serving few hundred research agencies. Because these businesses, they need insights, but they can't get these insights traditional way through the agencies, as it is pricey, as it's time-consuming, and there is a lack of credibility to traditional market research. It's true, and we have proof for that. If you search internet, you have 2.5 billion results. How to conduct market research without budgets and without market research agencies. 2.5 billion search results. It's amazing. Like companies are really striving to do research on themselves. And this is a good trend. But we understand this is a very serious challenge for us too. So we need to follow key market trends to be relevant. So the one trend is insights. They're becoming the integrated part of the marketing. And another thing that do-it-yourself research is booming, but they need another sort of and another level of do-it-yourself market research. And they don't have time and they have a lack of knowledge to manage professional projects with a simple do-it-yourself tools. We believe that smart affirmation could help here. And the third trend, this insight should be relevant, and we believe that measuring insights with accordance to behavioral economics is extremely, extremely important to build the new model of insights. And this is our answers, and our answer and our solution is automated online platform measuring both conscious and non-conscious consumer reactions within few hours, where you can get these results with just few hours. And we build this platform. It's easy to use and it's fast. It's fast because it works on the way you select the methodology, you choose your target group. We have built-in online panels as well. You have like 10 more ways to collect data, and you got automated reports with actionable insights. It's all there in the platform, and these insights are available in 24 hours normally. Of course, we have a secret sauce for that. So the platform already combines conscious and non-conscious tools, and it's all digital. Web-based eye tracker, camera-based emotions measurement, the system of implicit tests to measure brain reaction and implicit connections to our brands, categories, or whatever. We have a survey engine, and this is our proprietary survey engine, very sophisticated, with very advanced logic we can build inside, and it's mobile-friendly and it's user-friendly. We get in accurate results. We use quality control. We use artificial intelligence to get more behavioral insights. And we incorporated professional services with software marketplace and consultants. There are plenty of areas we can use this platform. And we developed a business model with pay-as-you-go approach as well as subscription-based approaches to make this affordable for everyone. And for business model, we also use approach companies selling marketing automation software using to sell their tools to marketers. And dreams came true. So you get reliable insights on the same day you came up with research questions. That's it. Your questions. Good timing. Thank you so much, Greg.
I don't know if anyone has gotten more topics covered in 5 minutes than Dimitri.
We have very comprehensive platform and so big plans. Okay. Next time, give us more.
Questions from the judges.
There's so much to digest. If I try to paraphrase this back, are you thinking like, how do you do the SurveyMonkey of neuroscience research? Would that be fair?
I'll be happy to be SurveyMonkey in neuroscience research. Really, I believe that. Actually, the value for the insight industry done by SurveyMonkey is amazing.
So let me ask you, so if I paraphrase that back, how do you educate people about the value of this kind of research? Because that's the biggest, how do you close the gap? People have a hard enough time applying basic research of answering questions to really unlock the understanding of how you apply neuroscience to millions of businesses. Seems like an enormous challenge. Just the educational gap there. Technology platform is great, but the market you're trying to address, how do you teach them about how to value it?
Great question. So to be honest, first of all, they don't care about neuromarketing. They don't care about anything. They just need an answer for their particular question they have at this moment. The non-conscious part is just a common sense, and also this is a point to believe that this research and these results is reliable. We don't need actually to educate them a lot. They just need to find, like the whole idea about giving this tool. You have a solution, I don't know, like you're a marketer. You have 2 banners. And we will tell you which of these 2 banners works much better based on the science. And doesn't matter which science is inside. We believe that combining both conscious and non-conscious is extremely important because our system 1 is 1 million times more productive than system 2. And this is really important to just keep this inside. It's same like with artificial intelligence. This is great, another algorithm to use data, to analyze data, but we don't need to sell this. We don't need to sell non-conscious measurement to end clients. We need to solve their problems. That's it.
So, 2 questions. Why is there an owl attacking the camera?
This is
and then the second question.
To attract your attention, and these are actually results from demo reel. We are measuring emotions in the camera. So the person sitting in front of the laptop, and then sometimes you got some funny impressions when they're all, and all is our mascot. It's everywhere here.
Yeah, and so the eye tracking piece I think is really interesting. As you're expanding the tool set, can you talk to us about maybe just one customer, one small business that may be adopting the tools currently?
Yes, we started with research agencies, and right now we going to the client side. And from this client side, actually right now we've got traction from big names, but this is what we don't want it yet. We don't want to build another sophisticated tool for big clients. Where we would like to be a tool for everyday use for marketer, not for market researchers. This is also very important thing in small and medium companies. We have these companies from Eastern Europe, from Western Europe too, who right now trying to use this tool. The product is probably this could be one of your questions. The platform in itself is let's say is 80% ready right now. So we have all this data collection, we have this survey engine, everything what I described. What we don't have, we need to build a lot of these methodologies, and like particular methodologies combining all these approaches according to client needs. This is the thing need to be done right now, and this is one of our key priorities. Another priorities is to pack these solutions. So if you need a website testing, you don't need to care about anything else. You have a website, you need to find is the customer experience good or bad, and using the web camera. So you're just adding your website, adding your task, and then you're getting your verdict about how good is your website.
Great. Dimitri, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next up we have the co-founder and CEO of IIeX, Brandon Bennett. Welcome. There you go, and there's your clicker.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Brandon Bennett, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of IIeX. IIeX is a proximity-based, audience-intelligent platform. Now, exactly what the heck that means is something I'll be explaining to you over the next few minutes. We're headquartered in Seattle, Washington, and we founded the company in late 2014. Okay, so as I mentioned, IIeX is a proximity-based audience-intelligent platform. What that effectively means is that we collect and analyze time spent by consumers at specific points of interest, and we do so with high levels of granularity and precision using a sensor technology called a Bluetooth beacon. We then layer demographic and psychographic detail into the foot traffic behavior we receive from the beacon. And because we're using beacons, we're able to make those consumer profiles that we're generating available to our retail, restaurant, and brand clients in real time. So to help you wrap your head around what's happening here, I'm going to lift up the hood a little bit and share what's going on. So the second one of the consumers that's in our network goes up to a point of interest, goes up to a store, we automatically pull anonymous but very precise persona data. Persona data can include demographics detail, age, gender, home zip code, work zip code. It can also include psychographic data, such as favorite brands, favorite activities, favorite music, all sorts of pieces of information. Again, very granular, but also anonymous. There are about 4 use cases that we get presented with. Use case number 1 is targeting, understanding behavioral patterns and figuring out what audiences you want to target based on said behavioral patterns. Use case number 2 is attribution, figuring out whether said advertisements actually resulted in people being driven to the store. Use case number 3 is foot traffic trend analysis, which involves looking at the behavioral patterns and then figuring out common themes between different types of people. And use case number 4 is some of our, let's call them forward-thinking brand and retail customers are using our real-time capabilities in order to update digital displays with personalized content whenever a consumer in our network walks by that digital display. Okay, in terms of traction, we're nearing an annual run rate of $1 million. We've got 50 million mobile devices that are on the platform, 12 million of which are active monthly. We also map beacons, and to date, we've mapped about 4 million beacons to the corresponding point of interest. So we're detecting where they are, and we're picking all of those up. So I'd like to take a moment and step back and share a little bit about why we're doing this and how we actually got started with everything. We started in the Tetris headquarters as a restaurant application. We were actually a happy hour app, and we helped people find nearby happy hour information. Prices, descriptions, all of that type of information. I'm going to try to speed it up. Prices, descriptions, things of that nature. Eventually, the restaurants started asking us for proof of return on investment. They were paying a monthly fee in order to be listed on the application. They wanted proof that the fee was worthwhile. So we started using beacons whenever a consumer looked at the application and then went into the restaurant, we would take credit for having driven that customer through the door if they did so within 72 hours. The restaurant customers loved it, and they started asking us for more data, saying things like, I have 7 restaurants, can you tell me what other of my restaurants these consumers are going to, things of that nature. And ultimately, we realized that this wasn't limited to the restaurant space, and we broke into brands and retail, and Area Metrics was born from those discoveries. Here's our international coverage. We are in specific cities. We've got coverage of up to 20% in cities like Seattle, San Francisco, Miami, so pretty strong coverage in certain geographies. A little bit in the last 30 seconds here about where we are headed. So I mentioned real-time and digital display. We work with a variety of shopping centers and large retail customers, some of which have long corridors with digital displays at the end of them. What they would like to do is to look at the behavioral analytics of all of the devices that are within that corridor and within visual range of that digital display, and to then update the content on that digital display to direct those consumers to whatever stores makes the most sense, given who they are as individuals. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Judges?
So you started out as a happy hour app. Are you still an app-based solution, or
So
explain how you're getting your...
yes, happy to. So there's 2 ways to get this kind of data. Way number 1 is to have your own internally developed mobile application that's very popular, which is what we started with. Obviously, you can get certain coverage that way, but larger coverage comes by creating relationships with other applications that are already on the mobile device. So that powers a lot of this type of data. Obviously, privacy comes to play when you start thinking about this sort of stuff. In the States, this ecosystem absolutely exists, and the rules are such that in the United States, that you can do this sort of work so long as personally identifying information is not shared.
This is there was an explosion of companies 4 or 5 years ago when beacons first came out. Companies like Euclid Analytics are well down the road of having pretty big footprints. How do you guys compete with those established players in this space?
Yeah, good question. Euclid is Wi-Fi based. Beacons, the first use cases for beacons were primarily focused on push notifications and communicating with the end user. That backfired horribly. A lot of brands found that they annoyed a lot of their customers by bombarding them with communication. So yeah, there's certainly existing analytics companies such as Euclid that are doing things with Wi-Fi, but what you lose is that sense of granularity for the individual user, and you lose the speed. Wi-Fi can pick things up pretty quickly, but beacons are capable of sensing, or devices are capable of sensing beacons, rather, within about 1 or 2 seconds. And if you can layer in data from mobile applications, rather than just the MAC address from the Wi-Fi, you're able to get all sorts of granular data and make these things possible.
Do you see yourself primarily serving being an insights business or an activation business, or both? So that implies kind of who your audience is within the client. And then I guess the second question is around scalability, both in terms of, and we talked about this yesterday, but the retail, how you get scalability in terms of retailers and also on the consumer side as well.
Yeah, so I'll answer that in 2 parts. Part 1 was where revenue is coming from. A lot of it is coming from attribution and from targeting. We work with LiveRamp and a lot of the data players in that respect. In terms of scale, there are 2 scalability things that have to be addressed. Scale component number 1 is where are beacons, which is why we map them. We've got 4.1 million that are mapped. There was the initial explosion due to the use case for push notifications that occurred. It died off for about 24 months. And we've kind of seen a resurgence starting in the mid-2017 timeframe where a lot more beacons are being pushed out. And I think BLE 5.0 had something to do with that to some degree. And then the other question of scalability comes down to the actual audience. So the more applications you can partner with, obviously you grow exponentially every time you get a large app. I mean, that's how that works today.
All right. Great. Thank you, Brandon.
So just explain to me. So just on the metrics, you said you had 50 million users, 4 million beacons. How much of that infrastructure do you need to put in place? I understand you're putting it through app partnerships to get your 50 million users. But those beacons, do you actually have to install the beacons, or you can leverage existing beacons and build on?
Great question. So on the audience side, the 50 million is almost entirely partnerships. We had the Happy Hour app that got things rolling, but now we're pretty much 100% partnerships. On the beacon side, 4.1 million beacons. We've deployed in the range of 1,000 or 2. So vast majority of beacons that we've actually picked up that we have mapped to the corresponding retailer. And we can do the same type of work regardless of whether or not we deploy the beacon. But in the use case that I explained with the shopping center, with devices in a corridor looking at a digital display, you'd want to customize the actual frequencies of that beacon in order to make sure that people are within the right range in order to update that digital display reflectively. So short answer is we've deployed about 1,000.
One more?
All right, we got
38 seconds.
Are you doing digital and TV attribution, or the attribution is primarily limited to digital at this point?
So we can do attribution so long as you can get IP address from whatever it is that you're linking to. So if you can get IP address because a television ad was displayed on a Wi-Fi network and you've got the device that's also on that same Wi-Fi network, you can then get the advertising ID linked to that and then do the same type of work. So it doesn't really matter so long as you're able to collect some identifier that can be populated across these channels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is, Ted Was, Opinion Economy. Welcome, Ted. Have that?
Thanks.
Have that? Excellent.
Hi, everybody. Okay. Oh, I've already started. So there's a major problem in data management in the market research and opinion industry, and it's around trust. It's around fraud. It's around throughput, and it's around the stability or lack of stability in data. This is what our industry looks like today. On one side, you have brands and ad tech companies and market research companies, and they have questions. On the other side, you have people who are willing to share their information. And in between, you have a whole host of middle people that are talking with each other, are sharing information, not always transparently. And then you have some nefarious actions that take place in terms of fraud, AI bots, click farms. You should look at that for a moment, because this is actually a huge issue. This is what we've created. It is a blockchain as a service company. We call it IIeX, and it's Consumer Insight Data Exchange Application Suite. And it's a series of products bound together with blockchain as its core that allows communication between the brands or those who have questions and those who are willing to share their insights and behavioral data. Now, this is particularly interesting because we have the patent. We have been issued the patent for this very thing. So any consumer tied to any digital footprint, any sensor, any IoT, any phone, car, refrigerator, coffee maker, piece of clothing, healthcare device, that they share the information and they want to have it monetized, now falls under our patent. Our data matrix includes smart devices, blockchain, cryptographic security and hashing, data exchanges, crypto economic utility tokens, data in motion, social media, artificial intelligence, and edge and DApp and app services. And we do that in this, we do this in a way that creates a marketplace with consumers on one side and brands and people who want the information on the other. Now, we've also taken great pains to make sure that we're IEEE compliant, we're Cloud Customer Service Council compliant, and we're Blockchain Engineering Council compliant. We are also GDPR compliant, and we're constantly evolving with this. So as we're looking forward to move forward, our priorities are around building the system, and we've already built out the proof of concept. We've signed our first customer, and we're launching on October 1st with 600,000 users. We're brokering the data monetization in a free market economy, giving back the power to the consumer to be able to identify if and when they want to share, what they want to share, and for how much. We are eliminating non-value-added middle people, noise, fraud, and waste, and we're transforming the insight and data management economy. The idea is to be able to create an economy based on trust using trustless tools in a way that is innovative and expansive. And we will start in the market research industry and we will grow from there. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. We had talked about you doing that interpretive dance. We have a minute and 20 seconds.
When I bite into a York peppermint patty, I get the sensation of being a butterfly on the wings of freedom.
I didn't believe you were going to do it. All right. Judges.
I would put the same. So you're going to launch with on a panel. How, as you're launching opinion economy, what is the single? Sorry.
Can we reset the timer?
You have 5 minutes of questions. There you go.
We're not going to give the judges an extra 45 seconds, just so you know.
That's right. Reset? All right. What's the single biggest point of weakness you think in making this successful? What's the biggest challenge you've got to overcome?
That's a great question. So actually, it's thinking through all of the permutations and interfaces that need to take place. So I'm a big data guy. I was chair for Cognitive Contextual Intelligence, AI, for the National Science Foundation and for UCal Berkeley. So I think about big data, I think about interfaces, I think about blockchain, and I think about how we connect to a myriad of smart devices to gather both active and passive data. We are making this seamless and frictionless for the consumer and the brands. Now, there's a lot of sausage making happening in between. But we're doing that in a way that uses standardized work, so it's reliable, repeatable, and measurable, and we've walked this process through extensively. We're not just pushing something out to get it out there. We're actually working with our first early adopter to make sure that we meet the needs that they have and the needs of our consumers, and we'll be evolving with each additional customer.
I found your presentation interesting, a little bit academic for me. Could you maybe expand a little bit on where you see some of the use cases for clients and how you want to actually roll this out commercially?
Sure. So part of this is who's our client base. So we're actually approaching both sides of the value chain. We have people who want to know information about consumer data on one side, and today they have a lot of difficulties and hurdles. And when I go to brands and I hear anywhere from 10 to 50% of my data is noise, I can't trust it, or I go to market research companies or panel companies and they say, I'm gathering information from folks and I can't validate that a person hasn't taken this survey 3 or 4 times. That's an issue. So we're trying to eliminate some of that noise on that side of things. So I think that use case is pretty viable. On the other side, we have GDPR, and in Vermont this week, I love Vermont, just last week, they passed a data broker law. You actually have to register with the state of Vermont right now. And we're going to see globally these sort of evolutions around laws to consumer rights. In the United States, we do not have a legislated consumer right to our digital data. They now do in the EU. So companies are going to have to decide whether or not that standard is a one-size-fits-all and it's a lower cost threshold, and we're there to help them along that path.
It seems like there's a huge, again, we heard this in an earlier pitch, huge opportunity to continue to disrupt the panel space as it currently sits. I mean, that was let's take a moment and look at it.
Yeah, or I think someone earlier said they're not here to disrupt the panel space. If you are an exploitive panel member, I'm here to disrupt you.
Yeah.
I am. I make no bones about it. If you are exploitive, if you are aggregating in a way that you are not paying attention, then I am here to put you out of business. There's no bones about that. No apologies either.
So your customer is the brand, or do you see yourself a alignment with a customer being a panel?
My very first customer is 2020 Market Research. I'm engaged in conversations with half a dozen other market research companies. I expect that market research companies will be my early adopters. Brands, some of them will, but the conversations I've had with brands go something like this. Okay, I think I understand this. Blockchain is still a little scary to me. Where does Bitcoin come in? And then we try to get them off of that. So I think it's going to be market research and ad tech, and then it's going to be brands will start to adopt it. And then there's applications for social media, for government, for healthcare, and we'll do some expansion that way as well.
Can you explain a little, one step more deeply, how blockchain helps eliminate the problem of bots?
10 seconds or less.
Sure. So blockchain itself does not eliminate the problem of bots. So when we look at what we have for our matrix, there we go. Oh, too far. Sorry. When we
you guys are going to have to.
I'll get with you afterwards.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Great job.
Great. Thank you. All right, next up we have Henry Chan, CEO of Predict. Welcome.
Thank you.
There you go.
And this is the forward button, right?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you all for having us. What are we? We are a blockchain-enabled consumer data exchange. Okay. We are a blockchain-enabled consumer data exchange built by market researchers for market researchers. How are we doing this and why are we using blockchain? Intrinsically, there are attributes of the blockchain that are uniquely qualified to address some of the pain points of the market research industry. On the consumer side, the issue of engaging the respondent for them to provide better data into the industry includes what we're addressing, having them own the data, having them being incentivized by appreciable and value exchangeable incentives, and them knowing that through a combined solution, there is a blockchain distributive plus some hybrid technology that ensures that they're very comfortable in providing this technology in a way that they feel secure in providing their personal data. On the brand and agency side, we're looking to improve ROI. Better data improves better return on the investments for this data. And in our blockchain, we are also building such that it alleviates the responsibilities of private data compliance. Happier respondents makes happier incentives, makes for better data. In our platform, the consumers own their data. The whole idea of a self-sovereign identity is describing the ownership of the data, the ability for this data to be sold and resold, and allowing consumers to have multiple paths to income from this data. The data is now considered an investment versus a one-time sell-off or giving off that data for free into the social media and so forth. So with the happier respondent and a more incentivized respondent, we're hoping to improve the data into the market research industry. But on top of that, our platform construction is incredibly dependent on having a quality and high integrity circulation of data, and therefore built into our system is a grading system for our data. We qualify our data. We have a process to screen and eliminate respondent abuses, and also a system to screen out and have compliant data sampler providers. The blockchain allows us, through the anonymous identifiers, to address issues such as consent management, being able to notify respondents of data breaches, and being able to allow for anonymization of data or giving the respondents the right to be forgotten. blockchain is a transactional technology, and therefore, naturally, it enables us to look for ways to complete transactions through verifiable deliverables and prompt payment because it's all through smart contracts. Because of our quality scores and our qualification for the data, we're pricing our data based on the quality of that data for brands and agencies. This can't be done with a lot of technology. Here's our tech stack. The foundation of it is a predict blockchain. We are building functions, APIs for basically a plug-and-play environment. Brands and agencies will be able to use our software and our APIs to plug right in, exchange the data for value, and importantly, as the world is going blockchain, where you have other verticals like marketing, advertising, fintech particularly, it's increasingly important that blockchains are able to integrate into our blockchain for transactions. To build this, it's all about the team. And we have a team that has 25 plus years of AI, automation, enterprise software, including blockchain, product management, and most importantly, market research experience. And with that, I'd like to thank the audience for having me.
All right, now we've got time for questions.
Yeah, I'd like to invite our technology person, Miguel Del Rosario, with us if there are any technical questions.
Do you have some examples of clients who are using this, some use cases that you can tell us about?
So we are right now in the early stages of discussions where we are talking to exchanges and market research firms. At this point in time, we're not ready to reveal any names and so forth, but we are at that early stage of development. We can have a one-on-one conversation about who and the profile of these people are. But I can tell you that there's a high degree of interest in what we're building as far as quality goes, quality screening for panel companies, for example, and also the prompt payment and executable on real deliverables, the way the blockchain represents. Another question?
So I don't quite get what you're doing because I feel like you talked around it, but didn't quite get to the heart of it. But in answering her question, maybe you came a little closer. Is this a generalized, utility-oriented, blockchain-based tool for the research industry to use, that it will use to spin off the applications that it needs? So whether it's payment, whether it's recruitment, whether it's question asking, whether it's data verification, others will figure it out. You are providing a blockchain platform for them to play with, or is it more specific than that? Do you have specific use cases?
There is specific use cases, but it's a platform to facilitate market research transaction. If you can think about how a brand wants to purchase a panel or an agency needs to connect with respondents. We are a platform that facilitates all of that, right? The blockchain is a facilitator. It's and the result is an exchange for there's a liquidity, almost a currency or a blood flow that we're creating so that this happens faster, easier, more efficiently, and at a high quality. Is that too broad? Miguel, you have a point?
Yeah. So as you notice from the tech stack, there are different layers, and so the system we're providing will have specific use cases that it supports, but it will also have at lower levels certain components that it can support that will allow people to build on top of what they already have, and then provide sort of the plumbing underneath it.
Can you explain how are you guys planning on making money? And is what you're envisaging, is this a private blockchain? Is this a public blockchain? How are you really seeing how this fits into the larger ecosystem?
The platform's transactional. So when a brand connects with our platform to purchase panels or sample, that's a transaction. And there's a transaction fee that will be charged on these transactions. When a respondent brings in or cashes the accumulation of incentives, typically in the form of tokens, for example, there will be transactional fees with that. There are partners that we'll have for the exchange of that value that they're collecting for real merchandise or real value, like cash and so forth is very important to this ecosystem. There's transaction fees for that. So it's a transaction fees-based business model.
It is a public blockchain, but we can integrate with private blockchains. So, but the main platform is in a public blockchain.
I have to say, I'm not clear why you're feeling the need to build this in blockchain. I'm not really sure how you're using blockchain essentially here that makes it any different than other just building this on a centered database. What are you doing that's really leveraging the distributed nature of it?
So the blockchain, in our case, manages things like the Gdpr, the transactions. It's really to use smart contracts to make sure that all the transactions are tracked in a trustless system. It's the main purpose.
But why couldn't you just do that with the standard database now?
Again, it's the trustless aspect of it. So you can do that, and people do that today, but you have to trust the company that does it. By doing it on the blockchain, basically we are able to do that, and the people that use the platform don't need to trust the fact that we're managing the transactions properly. They can track it. They can look at the blockchain, look at the transactions if they wanted to. The data obviously is not visible, but they can see that the transactions happen.
Thank you very much. All right, so we had 12 pretty amazing finalists, and wow, those lights are very bright. And I really want to thank all the people that spent the time and energy to join the competition, to get the votes. Just an amazing group of people. So to all 12, thank you. I also want to thank our judges, Jamin, Corey, Crystal, sorry, just short blank there, Jeff, Kristen, Rolf, thank you all for taking your time to do this. Now, the winners will be announced at 10:30 tomorrow morning. There's a few different competitions going on, and they'll all be announced then. So be sure and be here tomorrow morning. That's how we keep you coming.